I'm concerned, our country has always welcomed immigrants. The railway that I represent workers for was built by immigrant labour. Irish people come to this country and built it.
The problem we face can be solved. If we look back over our history, we will find the inspiration. It was people like the people from Tolpuddle who gave us trade unions.
Make the logs are both broken and
we're here today to celebrate the best traditions of May Day. Peace, solidarity and internationalism. We're also here to celebrate the lives of two giants of the Labour movement, Bob Crow and Tony Benn.
There he is, he's got right down up to the waist. Sorry, mate.
There's power in the factory, power in the land, power in the hand of the worker. It all amounts to nothing if together we understand. There is the power in our union. Now the lessons of the past are over. The workers' blood and the mistakes of the bosses we must pay for. In the cities and the farmlands, the trenches full of mud. It's always been the bosses' way, sir. The union forever defending our rights. Down with the black leg, workers unite. Our brothers and our sisters, many far off lands. There's power in the
any awareness of the sense of public outrage that people could be treated as the President of the Board of Trade treated them when he announced the closure of 21 pits. Individual members may have taken a different view. It was callous, it was brutal, it came from a party that prides itself on a citizen's charter and a class of society, and that is why hundreds of thousands of people are marching in London today. Now, my dad had prepared to pay a lot of money to the gamblers 2 weeks ago when it was the so-called market forces working on the currency, and that, I think, has played a part. The object of energy policy was that everyone should have heat and light at home. Not a bad energy policy objective. in which you recognise that energy in the end is judged by whether people can get hold of it or not. Somebody said to me the other day, if they're successful, why don't you give it to the pensioners? A very sensible argument. You give it free to the generating board who pump it down the wire as the cheap elect. Well, the honourable gentleman shakes his head, but that's an energy policy. But it's one they don't believe in, because they do believe in profit and not in people. And that's what this whole argument is about. The British public have been awakened, not just on the mining industry, but to the whole rotten philosophy of the 1980s, that it's all about cash, and you bring in a chartered accountant and he'll tell you what to do. It isn't about that. It's about whether our society puts people in a place of dignity and serves them, or whether you just hand over your money to gamblers who don't create any wealth at all. Arthur Scargill has been rehabilitated more quickly than any man I have known. In 24 hours, everybody knows he was right, the miners did. And what has happened, and it's about, I've warned the government about this and I finish with it. What's really happened is after 10 years, when people have taken things they should never have taken, there is a return of self-confidence and hope. And it was self-confidence and hope that got Mandela out of prison, that got the Berlin Wall down, and will get the president out of his office in favour of a better sort of society.
Yeah. Makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. It's a union makes us strong.
Comrade Chair, comrades, obviously there's been a bit of bad luck with YouTube today, and there's been a bit of bad luck with getting visas for the South African comrades. It ain't all bad luck, by the way, just to let you know, for those people who've been stuck in meetings all day, that Millwall won 4-1 away today. Also to tell you, they're the highest goal scorers in Britain, in any league in Britain at the moment in time. Very hard that Millwall are described as scorers. They never hardly score at all, but they are scoring very well today. So that's what happens sometimes when you get a bit of confidence. And I feel the confidence is rising amongst the trade union movement and amongst working men and working women. The fact is, if you look at the demonstration, particularly 2 weeks ago, not just me saying this, a number of people have said to me how young it was, the amount of new young faces on there. For example, I never asked anyone in my family to go. I had one RMT member, my wife, she was on the demo. The boy who was a railway worker, RMT, he was on the demo. The daughter, who was an RMT member, she was on the demo. My other daughter, NUT, she was on the demo. And my daughter-in-law, NASUWT, was on the demo as well. And the other daughter, who was an NUT member, couldn't go on it because she was looking after all the grandchildren. But it was a young turnout. And the fact of the matter is, people say, what do you get from demonstrations? Well, marching feet make history. The reality is, examples like Vietnam, where people marched, the point of view was got over and the victory was made. The reality is, at the end of the day, it can't be just marching for the sake of it. What we've got to have is marching as part of a strategy to reverse the attacks taking place on us by this condemned government.
What is May Day and why we're here? All around the world there are people demonstrating on May Day, a workers' day, demonstrating the power of the working class to achieve changes, campaigning in Bangladesh for safe working conditions, being blockaded by the police in Istanbul as they try to demonstrate in Taksim Square, fighting for trade union rights in Iran, fighting for trade union rights in the United States. People who are not yet organised in unions, working in fetid sweatshops all around the world, where the IMF say the only solution to the economic problems of their country is a race to the bottom with no regulation, no minimum wage, no safety.
name is Martin Gould. I'm the President of the South and East region of the TUC, and I'm chairing the first part of this rally on behalf of the London May Day Committee. We're here today to celebrate the best traditions of May Day: peace, solidarity and internationalism. We're also here to celebrate the lives of two giants of the Labour movement, Bob Crow and Tony Benn. In keeping with the May Day traditions, Bob and Tony also supported peace, solidarity and internationalism. Bob was renowned for his fearlessness in defending and advancing the interests of his members. Bob was an organiser. He supported workers here and around the world. He was a dedicated socialist and is much missed. Tony was tireless in his campaigns on behalf of ordinary people. It was always put in the case to extend democracy and justice. He was a deep thinker who turned thought into action. He was an author, a diarist, and above all, he was an activist. And he knew what side he was on. We've got a great platform of speakers for you today, and I want to get off and get started by introducing Bob Crow's daughter, Natasha.
Hello, fellow Bob Crow supporters, fellow Bobbies. What an amazing day, weather aside. He would have been so proud of the solidarity here among us today. It hasn't been an easy time for our family. We are so comforted to see the passion here in you all. I would think of him when I see a man in a flat cap, when I hear Millwall mentioned on TV or The Sopranos. But mostly, I would think of him when I need to find my inner strength, because he always knew what to say to motivate me to pick myself back up. He was inspirational, courageous, and pushed us all to find ourselves, to stand on our own 2 feet, to become grown-ups with a purpose in life. And he was also caring and gentle in his individual ways. But most importantly, he was always there and he always followed through. He has always had the ability to make us smile, and it helps that he had the knack for remembering the Millwall motto too: no one likes us, we don't care. One thing he taught me in life was to never give up. Think big and dig deep, and that is what I see here today, celebrating his spirit and attitude towards life. We know that the RMT, you here today, and other Bob Crow supporters both nationally and internationally have it in you to continue to drive forward your campaigns that Rob supported with the same vigour that he did during his life. Get through the obstacles with his inspirational inner strength until you see it blossom and reap its rewards. Equality for the working class. Our voice being heard, our needs being met, and our life being important too. He knew the power of many, and here we are today, many. Well, if all else fails, shrug your shoulders in Bob's way, point your finger and say, fuck 'em, at least I tried. Thank you.
Now our next speaker is Jeremy Corbyn, MP.
Friends, happy May Day, everyone. And this for us is a very special May Day because it's big, and I hope it's going to be as big as this every year. And it's big because we're honouring two very, very big people in our hearts and our minds and our inspiration, Bob Crow and Tony Benn. Virtually all of my conscious political life, I've known and worked with Tony Benn. I first met Tony Benn when I was a young person in the unions and in the Labour Party in the late 1960s. And I met him when he was reflecting on what it had been like to be a minister in the 1964 to 1970 Labour government. And I thought it was quite amazing that a man who had sat round the cabinet table, that had been in charge of major ministries, post office, technology, was reflective of the limited power of democracy to change compared to the unlimited power of capital to prevent that change taking place. Because people recognised in Tony Benn, they had a minister that was determined to make industry work for the people, not the people work for the bosses in industry. Hence the support for cooperatives, hence public ownership. Tony was a man of the most amazing vision, and as we know, a great diarist. And I asked him once, how would you like to be remembered? He said, you know, Jeremy, I'd like to be remembered as somebody who gave hope to others. So in Tony's memory, we've got his books, we've got his diaries, we've got that infectious humour, we've got that way that he could motivate and inspire across the nations, across the generations, across the ethnic groupings. Let's learn from Tony. One very wise word he said to me: everyone you meet, whoever they are, whatever they do, whatever their job is, however big, small, powerful or weak they are, you can learn something from them. In unity, we can achieve a great deal. International Workers' Day is for the whole world. International Workers' Day is to show we don't need a world of wars and nuclear weapons and the IMF and the economics of the madhouse that starves a quarter of the world's population and allows one busload equivalent to own 80% of the world's wealth. Tony Benn and Bob Crow were our great speakers in this. In memory, strengthen our unions, strengthen our work, strengthen our spirit of May Day. Long live them and their spirit, and long live May Day. Thank you very much.
I dreamed I saw Joe Hill last night, alive as you own it. Says I patrol your 10 years dead. I've never died, said hey. I never died, said hey.
Francis O'Grady.
First of all, on behalf of the whole TUC and the trade union movement, to all the workers, the pensioners and the students here, May Day greetings, this is our day. Now we're here to remember our values, but we're also here to honour two great heroes of the Labour movement, Tony Benn and Bob Crow. And Bob Crow wasn't just like a brother to me or to you or everyone in the RMT and the trade union movement. Bob Crow was a brother to workers worldwide. Bob was an organiser, and if across the trade union movement we could build the movement in the way that Bob built the RMT, we wouldn't have 6 million members, we'd have 10 million members. Now, as Tony Benn always taught us, the problem is not that we expect too much, the problem is that we demand too little. And I want us today to recommit ourselves to the great causes that Tony Benn and Bob Crow each fought for. They're our causes. Peace, equality, solidarity. Because together, as one movement, united, together, we will win. Thank you.
Len McCluskey, General Secretary of Unite the Union.
Good afternoon, sisters and brothers, comrades and friends. What a privilege it is for me to be here today to celebrate our day. As Jeremy Corbyn said, millions of working people around the world are celebrating today, are demonstrating their solidarity. And we are part of that movement. It is our class that is out today to celebrate our values.
I never died. I never
more money to their friends in the city. Over the last 7 years of this austerity, what we've seen is the bottom 90% of people get 10% worse off in real terms, and the top 5% in the economy get better off by over 15%. That's what austerity really means. Nothing to do about paying a debt back. The reality is this, brothers and sisters, what we've got a shocking, rotten government in the Conservatives and Liberals. But also what we've got is an opposition that's absolutely impotent. You all know the difference between Labour, Liberal and Tories. All three of them support privatisation. All three of them support keeping the anti-trade union laws. This bloke Miliband now has turned around and said that now there's going to be an opening now for working class people to join Labour. Well, why would you want to join them? I've got to say this, what are they going to do for you? Do you honestly believe that if you joined Labour, you could turn it around into a vehicle to represent working men and working women? That's gone, it's dead. It's like an old relationship. It's finished. And as quick as people move on with their life and get a party built on Labour by the trade unions in the community, we'll be dragging and dragging and dragging behind looking after working men and working women. What do we really want at the end of the day? We don't want to be arguing about the bedroom tax. We want to be arguing about building more houses and putting more bedrooms in them. We're about giving our kids some hope and some in society. Give them an opportunity to get apprenticeships. Start building things again in Britain and export them around the world. Dig into 300 years of coal that's beneath us to manufacture, to put into the industry. Instead of spending millions upon millions of pounds on weapons of mass destruction, we should be spending billions of pounds on constructing society rather than trying to destroy it.
But I tell you, we're about internationalism. And here today I can see myself, there are black and white men and women, Muslims, Christians, Jews, Buddhists, atheists, a mass of people. But they all have the same interest. The interest in seeing they have a home to live in, a useful job, a decent wage, proper health care, proper education, dignity when they're old, and peace. Nobody wants war except the arms manufacturers who make millions out of it. And you see, if you look at it like that, there are only two sources of wealth in the world. The first is in the people. All the wealth in the world is created by people, not by banks. Banks make money, people make things we need. And secondly, the wealth of the world comes from the resources of the earth. The people who own the land, own the minerals under the land. And one of the most interesting things to me in recent years is to see a country like Venezuela, who took over the oil, took over the banks, and decided to use the money to build the schools, build the hospitals that people needed. But you know, we're not going to succeed in doing it. I don't think this is going to be done by some guy who gallops onto the platform at Trafalgar Square, a white horse, and says, vote for me and I'll solve your problems. It's never, ever, ever happened like that. All progress has been made when people like us make a demand and stick to it until that demand is met.
When this government came to power, they said they needed to tackle the deficit now so they don't shackle future generations with debt. The harsh reality is this government's austerity programme is killing our life chances now. Youth services slashed, tuition fees trebled, housing benefit for under 25s gone, EMA scrapped.
People's flag is deepest red, it shrouded oft our martyr dead, and ere their limbs grew stiff and cold, their hearts' blood dyed its every fold. So raise the scarlet standard high, within its shade we live and die. Though cowards flinch and traitors sneer, we'll keep the red flag flying here. The ground the Frenchman loves its blaze, the sturdy German chants its praise. In Moscow's vaults, its hymns are sung.